Welcome everyone to Train Tuesday. I am your host Jim Wigan with Athearn Trains, and so glad that you could join us. Now, if you are joining us live on the live stream right now, welcome. So glad to have you on board. If you're catching us on YouTube, thank you for finding us. If you enjoy this type of content delivered to you on a weekly basis, feel free to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video, such as Train Tuesday, drops into our channel. I hope those of you out there who celebrate the United States holiday of Thanksgiving enjoyed it. Canadians, I know you had yours already a little bit earlier, but for us here in the States, we had a Thanksgiving feast. Hopefully you had one as well, and it went well. Let's see who's joining us here tonight. I see Brody. I see Terry, Ralph, Chad, DG Model Works is in the house. Harold, Peter, Thomas, Bradley, and many more. We got about 98 that have showed up so far. Now, hard to believe that we're going to be talking about December items now. Now, these items that we're going to be talking about, they have a pre-order date that is open until Friday, December 29th, which means if you get that tie or another can of Simon Eyes for Christmas and you really wanted an Athearn locomotive or freight car, well, you can still go to your dealer by Friday the 29th and pre-order what you really want for Christmas. So with that, let's see who else is joining us. I see Mark, Greg, Charles, Eric, Harold, Sean, Ronald, Jack, Terry, Eugene, J. Cure, Terry, and Chris, just to name a few. So thank you once again for taking some time out of your Tuesday to join us on Train Tuesday. Now we're going to be talking about the Athearn Genesis -9s as well as some Roundhouse FMC boxcars. And stick around for the end of the program. I've got a special treat for you, as well as maybe answering one or two questions before we sign off. So with that, let's go ahead and get comfy in our workshop chairs and grab the beverage of our choice. And let's get started with some model train goodness. We're going to start with the Athearn Genesis -9 44 CW. Now these were built from by General Electric from 1993 until about 2004. The -9 44 CW and its variants were the definitive North American mainline freight locomotives of their time. Now, there was about 3,668 total units built, and they were constructed for U.S. railroads from coast to coast. Now, the units were ordered by Canadian roads as well, and there was a significant export order that went to Australia and Brazil. Now, the Athearn Genesis -9 44 CW is equally as impressive as its prototype, with a host of railroad-specific details from Canadian National's unique teardrop windows to the early body details on Southern Pacific and Santa Fe. These models take the Genesis line to new heights. Now, standard on all of these Athearn models is the superior paint colors, reliable Genesis drive, LED lighting, and much, much more. And we're going to talk about that. Now, what you see on your screen right now, this is the Southern Pacific that we released during the last release about a year or so ago. These did sell rather quickly, but if you are still looking for one of these to add to your roster, you may find these on a hobby shop somewhere near you. If you are looking, the item number for this particular unit, this is SP8135, part number on that is ATHG 31641. Again, that's ATHG 31641. Now, let's talk about what we're going to be offering for this announcement. And again, everything that I'm going to talk about here tonight, you have until Friday the 29th to place your pre-orders. We're going to start tonight with the Union Pacific, but remember that SP unit I showed you earlier? Well, that's what these guys were. After the 1996 acquisition of the Southern Pacific, Union Pacific inherited -9 C44 CW locomotives from the SP. As it was time for major maintenance, they were eventually repainted into their new owner's colors. Now, we've got a few different locomotives and a few different eras here. to go over. Now, the first one that you see at the top of the screen, that is unit number 9578. This is a 2005 era locomotive. Now, this is former Southern Pacific 8114, and it's going to feature the yellow sill, UP lettering without the flag, UP style plow, and Sinclair antennas. Not too older is 9599. This is a 2004 era. Again, former SP unit, in fact, former SP 8135. This one, however, has a red sill. It will include Sinclair antennas, SP style plow, and the last in this series, we're going to jump to 2015. This is 9647, and this is how it appeared in 2015. This is a former Southern Pacific unit number 8173. It's going to have the yellow sill, the Sinclair antennas, small GPS dome, and the SP style plow. So again, 3 different locomotives, all former SP. If you're modeling this era of the Union Pacific, you're going to want to check these guys out. Fans of the East Coast and DG Model Works, yes, I'm looking at you. You're going to want to pick up these guys. Now, these were delivered new in 2003 from General Electric. Norfolk Southern took delivery of class 9745 to 9811-940 CW locomotives. Some unique features include the electronic bell, high-mounted headlight, and electronic parking brake. Now, we're offering both versions of the front-end cab schemes to choose from. If you look carefully, and if you go to our website, you can see the front view of these locomotives and kind of see what we're talking about. 9754 is a 2004 era locomotive. It has the white face scheme. It's pretty much predominantly white where the number boards and light is, and white where the windshield frames are. Then we've got, for the 2003 era, 9773 and 9806, and they're in the unibrow scheme. So no white around the front windows, it's just the upper area of the cab that is painted white. So again, if you're modeling 2003 to 2004 and you'd like to add these to your Norfolk Southern fleet, consider these 3 locomotives. Now, we get a lot of requests for the BNSF, and it's no wonder. And really, you know, it seems odd or hard to believe, but BNSF now has 2 eras to model. There's the early years of the BNSF, which is briefly around 1995 to 2005, and then there's the modern era BNSF, roughly 2005, when they adopted a new paint scheme and a new logo, to current day. And we get a lot of requests for both eras at Athearn, so we decided it's a good time to run some early and some later. Let's start with Burlington Northern Santa Fe, as they were known in the 90s. Now, part of the first new BNSF locomotive order to be painted in the then new official corporate colors, these heritage GE units became affectionately known by rail fans as pumpkins, based upon the Great Northern colors used on some of the early diesels. Now, some of these are still running around in this scheme. I've seen them quite often when I go to Galesburg. So these are all 1996 era locomotives. You can definitely use these right up until current day with some weathering and some improvements and details like PTC arrays. Here we've got 960, 999, and 1044. Again, these are all 1996 era locomotives as they appeared then. A little bit of work, you can adjust them to fit your era. Now, some of the specific features just for BNSF units pictured here. These are going to have high-mounted number boards, K3 horns, front ditch lights, the ATSF gull-wing cab, and a standard brass bell. So again, early BNSF. Now let's talk about a more modern BNSF. Now, of course, after 2005, BNSF changed their image slightly, and they also changed the colors of their corporate paint. Now, part of BNSF's order in 1999, these were originally painted in the Heritage 2 scheme from the factory. Over time, with normal wear and tear, these units began to fade. As they got outshopped for major repairs, some were repainted into BNSF's current wedge scheme. It was also common to see different variations of paints and parts used. Air conditioners and antennas were commonly changed out over time, as seen on other equipment. Now, the Athearn team is offering these variations based on collected research photos. So we've got 3 locomotives here that we're going to be offering. First one up is BNSF 4433. This is a 2009 era locomotive. This is going to have the standard large dome antenna. Coming up next for 2013 is BNSF 4437. This will include a large dome antenna with dual skate style antennas. And then finally, 2000 era on up, era 4484. This is going to have the standard large dome antenna. Now, likewise, all 3 of these locomotives are going to have BNSF features, including high-mounted number boards, K3 horns, front ditch lights, ATSF gull-wing cab, and of course the standard brass bell. Let's go up north, and considering the weather that I am experiencing and a lot of you are experiencing, it's currently 19 degrees in central Illinois. It sounds like it's pretty cold across the country. So let's talk Canadian units next. Now, Canadian National purchased 23 safety cab Dash 9 locomotives from General Electric in late 1994. These are classed as C44-9WLs. These locomotives were seen all over the system and featured a 4-window Canadian-style cab front and rear anti-climbers and single rear headlight. So first up, and this one's kind of a cool locomotive, this is CN2506. This is a 2006 era locomotive. Now this has a slightly different appearance. It's a later appearance with right side yellow number board numbers and missing left side North American content map art. You see on this picture here, on this side, we have that logo that they used late 90s, early 2000s. On this particular unit, that is not on the other side. So it's kind of a neat locomotive. Coming up next is CN 2510 and 2522. Now, both of these are 1994 era, so they're going to be delivered as they appeared when they were brand new. So this is the as delivered appearance on both of these units. Now, some of the features that are strictly for the Canadian National units shown here is they're going to have the Canadian 4-window cab with high-mounted number boards, K3 horns, front ditch lights, front class lights, rear single-style headlight, and a cab-mounted brass bell. We're going to stay in Canada here briefly. Let's go to our next Canadian railroad, and then we're going to shoot down to a little bit warmer climate. Starting with the Quebec Northshore and Labrador. Now these locomotives here, they're all, I've got one shown, this is number 404, but there's also 407 and 413 that are available for pre-order. They are all the same, as delivered from the factory from 1998. Now purchased in 1998 to help replace their aging fleet of older EMDs, Quebec Northshore and Labrador turned to General Electric for 11 new high horsepower Dash 9 C44 CW locomotives. Painted in a bright orange and yellow scheme, these units were used in heavy iron ore service along the North Shore of Quebec, Canada. So again, these are brand new if you're modeling 1998. And they're also going to have specific features just for the Quebec Northshore and Labrador. Some of those features include front and rear marker lights, which will be functional if you go with the Tsunami 2 equipped version, low mounted number boards, K3 horns, front ditch lights, and standard brass bell. And then finally, I think it's time to warm up a little bit after spending some time in Canada. Here's the Arizona and California. Now, this is our most modern offering in this month's announcement. These are 2022 era locomotives. Now, the Arizona and California acquired several former BNSF-9s in 2022. The most powerful units on the roster, they were numbered in the 4400 series to reflect this. The units shown here are without their company logos. And here, of course, we have 4400 and 4403. Something that I want you guys to pay attention to, keep track of Athearn's social media throughout the next few days and weeks. There are going to be some updates on the Arizona and California, but I'm going to let you guys figure out what those updates are. We're going to be releasing some interesting information on these. Now, some of the features on the Arizona and California locomotives include, since they're former BNSF units acquired in 2022, they're going to have some of those features that you would see on BNSF locomotives. So they're going to match the BNSF 4300 class. They also, since they are 2022 mainline power, are going to include PTC antennas, something that's very important for you modern modelers, of course. Now, features generally, and if for complete details of all of the features, please go over to the Athearn website at athearn.com and select the announcements tab and then new announcements. Or you can go to our YouTube channel and check out the video specifically for these locomotives. Some of those features are going to include illuminated ground lights above the front trucks, front and rear walkway lights, number boards, of course, are going to be illuminated, etched see-through walkway steps, coupler cut levers, MU hoses, train line hoses, see-through cab windows, full cab interior, walkway tread, windshield wipers, lift rings, wire grab irons, sander lines. DCC ready versions will include the quick plug and play technology with 21-pin NEM connectors, fine scale silicone handrails for a scale appearance, and of course, detailed fuel tank with fuel fillers, fuel gauges, and breather pipes. That's just some of the many details that are included with this locomotive. Again, go to our website to see the full run of details. Now, if you go for the version with the Tsunami 2, that will include 2 cube speakers. That way it maximizes the sound effect of these locomotives. MSRP on these locomotives, $259.99 without sound, $359.99 for the versions equipped with the Tsunami 2. Again, this is MSRP, so talk to your dealer for your price. And there you have it, a pretty good run of Dash 9s for this run. These have been phenomenal sellers for us in the past, and we're starting to see something that is considered by most of us a modern locomotive slowly leave the ranks of the class 1s and slowly come into the ranks of some of the smaller lines. So that only guarantees we're going to see the Genesis Dash 9s for many years to come. All right, let's go to our next item, and we're going to go and shift gears and talk about Roundhouse next. So we're going to be talking about the Athearn Roundhouse 50-foot FMC 5283 double-door boxcar. Now, in the mid-1970s, there was an incentive per diem boxcar boom, and it was just beginning. New brightly painted boxcars seemed to appear overnight. Many were lettered for various short lines. FMC, or Food Machinery Corporation, was a significant builder of many of these cars. The 50-foot outside post, non-terminating end boxcar became the foundation for new per diem cars built in the 1970s. The 50-foot FMC cars also varied in door configuration and style to better suit each customer. These models can still be seen today in modern railroading, and so we've got some pretty cool cars here for you this run. Now, the one that you see on your screen right now, if you're looking for something sort of modern, this is a BNSF car number 223945. These are currently available. And these are roundhouse models, so most of the detail is molded on, but like I've said in the past, these make great operating session cars. They also are great for those shows that we're probably running our cars at now. These are perfect for that. You don't have to worry about those small details popping off. Now, if you really like this BNSF car, like I said, this is available. It should be available at all Athearn dealers. The part number on this is RND 979777. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be offering for pre-order until the 29th. And we've got a lot of neat roads here for you. We're going to start in 1974 with the Cotton Belt. This is car number 67357. Now, for all of the roads that we're listing this month, we are also going to have additionally 2 other roads. So on top of the Cotton Belt that you see pictured here, there are two other road numbers that you can select. There is 67481 and 67599. Going into the 1980s is the Milwaukee Road. This is a cool looking car. This is car number 156019. We're also going to offer road numbers 156038 and 156071. And jumping up to 1992 and beyond, we have the Golden West Service car. This is car number 774018. We're also going to include two additional road numbers, including 774117, 774213. So again, all of the roads that we are showing you tonight, you have the option of buying all three road numbers. Now, starting at the top, we have the Ontario Northland 2000s era. We actually got a lot of requests for this railroad. We're seeing a lot more people ask for it, so we're going to start offering it. And here we have car number 2800. We're also offering two additional cars, 2804 and 2806. Going back to the 1990s, we've got the Co-Rail Incorporated car number 10425. We'll also offer car numbers 10432, 10441, and last but not least, 1990s era Arkansas and Missouri. This is car number 2028. Additionally, car numbers 2036 and 2047 will also be offered. Now, these are great cars to add to your roster, like I said, for many reasons, but let's just look at this car here. This is the BNSF car I showed earlier. Let's talk about some of the features of the Roundhouse cars. These are going to actually have positionable sliding double doors. So there you go. If you're doing prototype operations or just having some fun playtime with the younger modelers in your household, you've got that going for you. Also have a separately applied brake wheel. The McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers are body mounted. Machine wheels are RP25 contours. They are weighted for optimum performance, and they're fully assembled and ready to run. So really the only thing you got to do is maybe weather them. They are highly detailed. They're injection molded bodies. So even though they have all of those details molded on, you'd be surprised at how nice they really look. Painted and printed for realistic decoration. Now the nice thing about Roundhouse is they get the same painting and printing that our Athearn and our Genesis models get. So just because they're the somewhat entry-level car or the Roundhouse model, they still get the same treatment as far as painting and decoration. And if you're wondering what the minimum radius on these cars is, it's a minimum radius of 18. So they'll navigate most modules, most layouts. Now the MSRP on these cars is $29.99. Again, talk to your dealer for your price. That is full MSRP. So there you have it. We've got some great stuff this month by Athearn that you can pre-order. And like I said, you've got until December 29th, just a few days after Christmas. Now, we've got a little bit of time. I'm going to look for some questions, and then I'm going to show you guys a special treat. Something is finally hitting the hobby shops. But let's see what kind of questions we have going out there. Let's see, Fountain, Colorado rail fan, those H3-9s look great. As someone who's a modern day BNSF modeler, I'm definitely going to get one. Well, thank you, Fountain, Colorado rail fan. Yeah, those are pretty cool. It's interesting to see how many guys like the early BNSF and then the modern BNSF. I'm going to go back a little bit to see if anybody had any other questions while I was talking during the slideshow. A lot of guys pretty excited about the box cars. A lot of guys looking at the Milwaukee Road. Jake here with the question all of us ask every time we go to a show or a hobby shop. I have like 20 of these darn cars. Do I need more? The answer inevitably always comes to a yes with a quick open of the wallet and presenting the favored piece of payment to the dealer. Let's see. Here's BN Green 1970, nice looking GEs. Not much use for my era though. Green GP7s are another story. I already have 1629 on pre-order with Lombard. I assume those will be next Tuesday. You were right, BN Green 1970. We'll be talking about those exquisite units next month or next week on Train Tuesday, and those have some new tooling. And that tooling has allowed us to do a couple of locomotives that we've wanted to do for a while, and you guys have wanted us to do for a while. And now we can finally do it, as well as some other roads. Let's see. Wayne says would love to see the CN style Dash 9s in undeck. Years ago, we actually had one in undeck that we used for promotional reasons. That is long gone, unfortunately. But would we ever offer one in the future as a undeck? I don't know. We are going to be offering the sevens, the Jeep sevens, in undeck this month. So you never know. We might do that. All right. A lot of people saying they really like the cars as well as the Dash 9s, and I got a few guys asking what's the surprise, and we only have a few minutes left, so let's jump into it. We are starting to see the log jam, if you will, start to release. Now, behind me, see if I can point my finger right there, is something that is now coming into hobby shops right now, and that's the SW 1500s. Now, we announced these, well, a little bit over 2 years ago. And these are a big deal because we've had these under the ready to roll line for a number of years, but there's been some upgrades done to these. For the one thing, they now have sound. Now, here's the cool part. We tried to get ahead of the shortage with the chip shortage that happened a few years ago. And even though this is an Athearn model, it would normally have an economy decoder. But these are coming with Tsunami 2s because that was how we tried to combat the shortage of chips. We happen to have pretty good stock of Tsunami 2s, so we kind of cheated a little bit to your benefit. And these are coming with Tsunami 2 decoders. Now, first up here is the Western Pacific, and the part number is right there for you to see, ATH 28653. Now, these are Athearn. They're still in the same ready to roll box because we announced them when it was still ready to roll. But these are in stock right now. If you've been waiting for one of these patiently, or in my case, impatiently, they are now here. Here's the Western Pacific 1501, beautiful locomotive. Wisconsin Central. Now you can see that even though these are Athearn, there are details specific to the railroad. You can see some differences here. Check out the number boards on the Wisconsin Central versus the Western Pacific. Cotton Belt. I saw somebody in the comments. Yeah, Robin, is S Cotton Belt in there? Yes, yes, it is. Yes, somebody had said their dealer had called them. Yep, Jay Kier says my dealer says my Cotton Belt is in the shop waiting for me. Yippee and cruds. Yeah, it caught us by surprise, didn't it? Yeah, these are just beautiful locomotives. And I have run them on the layout behind you, and I'm really happy with them. Conrail, this is the one that I'll probably end up getting for myself. Now, again, you can see that there's little detail differences in all of these models based on the road. Now, since these do have Tsunami 2, in some cases where there is a beacon, like the Burlington Northern, BN Green 1970, I'm looking at you. This will have the beacon actually function, but you have to get the Tsunami 2 version. These are also available without the Tsunami 2. You can just get them standard DCC ready. Yeah, the Conrail one's nice. I didn't give it enough time. I'll give it a little bit more time. But these are in stock right now. They are shipping from Athearn. They are in your large hobby shops. If you pre-ordered these a while ago, then you've probably got an email or a phone call from your dealer saying, hey, these are in stock. So go ahead, just in time for the holidays, just in time for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate. So there you have it. There's more coming. The Penguin boxcar that you see behind me, that's on its way. That should be here maybe just before Christmas. So I've got time for one or two questions, and then I'm going to let you go back to work on your layouts and on your railroad. McCarville Studios SW1500s look very nice, and the sound via the Tsunami 2 is killer. The cotton belt colors look great, but may have to go with the Conrail. Yeah, there's a lot of folks that wanted the Conrail, and there's 3 different road numbers, I think, with the Conrail, if I remember right. The Tsunami 2s are exceptional in these locomotives. These didn't have sound in the early days. Now they have sound. If you're like me and you have a small layout in a small room, you're going to want to definitely adjust your settings, because from the factory, they're actually really quite loud. They do a really good job of producing a nice, robust sound in a small enclosure. No Chessie in this run. Sorry to say, no Chessie in this run. Wayne Dennis wants to know, why don't you offer the 1500s in private companies like Vulcan Materials? Well, that's a great question. Since these hadn't been offered in a number of years, there was a lot of upgrades that need to be done with them. We wanted to run almost like a new locomotive. If you think about the updates that we've done to these locomotives, first, they're going to have sound. They've got an updated drivetrain. They've got updated lighting features that they didn't have before, like the truck lights are actually illuminated on these. So since they're almost a new model, we wanted to go ahead and offer the big heavy hitters first, the class ones, things of that nature. And then as we do subsequent runs, we'll probably look into some of those smaller companies. So it's just a matter of time. Let's see. One more question, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to it. Trackside Mike with a question on delivery. Where are the 6400 gondolas? So the HO ones, I think we're trying to get those out by late spring, early summer. Last I knew, that's the current ETA. Keep in mind that ETA can change. It's kind of like I was saying earlier. It's kind of like a log jam. Now that we've actually got the material to produce these models, we're working on the backlog. So there are delays. I know it's hard to wait, because I am definitely, probably combined with all of you, the most impatient person when it comes to pre-orders. All right, so with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for joining me on Train Tuesday. If you didn't see the live new announcements, that's because they weren't live anymore. We're doing those on our YouTube channel. They drop automatically on the last Friday of the month on our YouTube channel. So go check those out. They're also segmented now by model. That way they're easier to share. They're bite-sized videos. And in that case, if you're interested in 1 or 2 locomotives or freight cars, you can take a look at those without looking at an hour-long live stream. So until next time, everyone, I hope you are stay happy and do some good modelings. And above all, high greens. Good night, everyone.